Hey guys, it's Tyler McKinney back here again today, and today we're going to get into some college football. That's right, we're going to get back into the college football scene. We're going to look at Week 7 this week. That's right, Week 7. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to give you my picks and my predictions. If you've been following along, guess what? That's right, I'm over 500 again, finally. Feels like I keep going back and forth, but I'm finally on the other side of 500. We're on the upside of 500. If you've been keeping score, I'm 20-19 on the season and looking to continue to keep it up on the upside of 500. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and let's get into those picks. Now, the first pick that I'm starting off with, we're going to start off with a nice noon game, all right? We're going to be heading out to Georgia, where South Carolina is coming into number 3 Georgia. They're giving up 23 points to the Gamecocks, and the over-under is at 53. I'm looking at this game, and believe it or not, I am picking the Gamecocks. Just putting it out there. I don't think they're going to win. I don't think that they're going to even come close to being in this game. I just know that the Gamecocks have a good defense. I know that Will Muschamp's team is a defensive-minded team. They're probably going to try to hold on to the ball when they've got the ball on offense. And so this game, I just don't see Georgia being able to score enough to really win by more than 3 scores. I don't see it happening. I see it really being like possibly a 21-point game. But when you get over that 21-point mark and you're into 23 territory, that means that they have to win by 24 points. That's 4 scores. So it's either they've got to score 4 touchdowns more than the Gamecocks, or they've got to score 3 touchdowns more and a field goal. I just think that that's too much for where we are. And the reality of it is Georgia is not one of these teams that has just this high firepower offense. They've got a really good offense, but they just don't have that firepower to where I think that they'll take advantage of this defense, and it's a decent defense that South Carolina has. So when I'm looking at this game, I just think that Kirby Smart's team is definitely the better team in this. Don't get me wrong. And I think that they've got a really good team. They have talent across the board. I just think that the Gamecocks are better than what this spread is giving them credit for. So when I look at this game, I think that Georgia's probably going to win by something around 17, 20 points. So when I look at that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take South Carolina, and I'm going to just give me the points. Give me those 23 points all day long. Now, as we continue in the noon time slot, we're going to move on to our second game. And this is probably, if not the marquee game of the week, it's one of the biggest games of the week. And that's right. What we're talking about is the Red River Showdown. And that is Texas and Oklahoma. Now, we've got Oklahoma are giving 10.5 points to Texas. And if you know anything about this series, when these two teams, they come out to play, you just, especially for the rivalry game, you throw it all out the window because you just never know what's going to happen. I know that you've got Oklahoma, you've got that ridiculously firepower offense, and the reality of it is when I look at this thing, they really haven't been tested. And Texas is banged up on defense, so I really don't think that Texas is going to give them a whole lot of guff on, that side of the ball. But when I look at it, Texas has firepower on offense. They can score points, and they can score a lot, to where if they get in a shootout with Oklahoma, they can keep it within that margin. And so as I'm looking at this, and, granted, I don't know, I feel like that Tom Herman's team here, it's just like, I feel like this is kind of their spot, right? He's always this underdog guru where he comes into these games where he's an underdog, and he even comes out and wins them a lot of times. Now, I know the last 2 times that this has happened to them, it hasn't gone his way. And I just feel like he's just about ready to turn that around. And Texas is going to make a statement with this. And possibly, now this is possible prediction here, could be knocking the Oklahoma Sooners out of the playoff picture with a win here. This is just my thought process. Not that I think that they will not be in the playoff picture, but I could see a possible loss here that could turn into them being out of the playoffs here. So when I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at 10.5 points. For me, I feel like Texas can stay within that amount. I feel like it's going to be something that's going to come down to the end of the game, and it'll be Texas or Oklahoma, whoever's kind of got the ball at the last, driving down there. I do think that Oklahoma could come out here and just kill them. I really believe that they could just come out here and just totally annihilate Texas and beat Texas by like 4 touchdowns. I could easily see that happening, but when I look at this game, the way that I look at it happening more is I look at it being that they're both really high-powered offenses, and both of their defenses are just okay. And so I feel like the one that can score the most points is going to win, and I feel like in a shootout like this, that 10.5 points is just too much. I think that Texas is going to keep the game closer than, more than 10 points. So this one, I'm going to take Texas and go ahead and give me those 10.5 points, and we'll move on down the road with that. So now let's move on to the 3:30 time slot, and I've got an interesting pick here, and we're going to stay in the top 10 teams here, and we're gonna have Florida State going in, and they're going to be playing Clemson. 3:30 game on ABC, and Clemson's giving up 27 points to Florida State. Now, granted, I get it, guys. This is Florida State. This is not the Florida State of old. This is not Florida State of 3-4 years ago. This is Florida State of today, and I totally get that. I'm not discounting that. But what I am looking at is I'm looking at a Florida State team that is very, very talented. They have guys across the board. And the reality of it is some of their guys are higher touted recruits than guys on the Clemson side of the ball. Now, granted, they haven't played like a team, and like Clemson has played like a team. But there's a couple things that I'm really factoring into here, and it's that, one, Florida State tends to play to their competition. What do I mean? Well, it seems like no matter how good their competition is, it seems like they play to that competition, whether it's a much lower team that they should blow away. They seem to let those teams stay in the game or beat them. And on the other side of it, it's like, teams that you think, okay, this is going to be, it seems to be that they play with them as well. And I think that this is going to happen. On the flip side of that, Clemson has not really got everything together this year. They've really been winning off of talent, and that's really it. They haven't really clicked on offense. They still got a decent defense. It's not as good as it was last year, but it's still a decent defense. But they've been in some slugfests this year, and I think this is going to be another slugfest. I don't think that Florida State's going to win this game. I really think it's going to it'll be fourth quarter, Clemson pulls away, and then has, just takes it, runs it out for a nice, 10, 14-point win, something like that, maybe even 17. Good night. When you've got 27 points on this thing, that's just way too much when Florida State has like 5-star, 4-star guys all on their roster. I can't do that. I've got to take the points with that. And so that's why that game's in here. If you noticed, I've got a little bit of a trend this week. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm just feeling the underdog this week or what it is. But I don't know. That's where I'm sitting. So all right, we're moving on to the later games. We're going to a 7:30 time slot. And this time, if you've been following me at all, I've been following USC all season. And we've got USC. They are going into Notre Dame, number 9 Notre Dame. And that game's on NBC. And they're getting 11.5 points. And this one, I think this one's going to be a close game. Just throw it out there. Slovis is going to be back on the field. He's going to be back from injury. And I think that they're just going to be able to go in there, stay with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's offense is just pedestrian. And USC has an okay defense to where I think the defense will keep them in the game. Now, I think that Notre Dame has a decent defense as well. But I think that USC has those wide receivers and they have a running back that if they can hit home runs. So if they can get a play here, a play there, they can score some points. And so I could see them, easily, scoring 24, 28 points. And I just don't see Notre Dame putting up 35, 42, 40, somewhere around there. I just don't see him putting up those type of points. So when I'm looking at this in 11 points, I'm going to take USC, and I'm going to take those points all day long. Again, if you've been keeping track, I've been going with the underdog now 4 out of 4 times. I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at today. We'll see. See what happens. Maybe it'll be, something where it'll, I'll end up winning these. Who knows? All right, we're going to go ahead now, and we are going to go into another 7:30 game. This game's on ABC, and we have number 10, Penn State, going in to play number 17, Iowa, and it is going to be crazy. If you have ever watched a night game there for Iowa, though they pull out all of the stops for a night game. There is no doubt about it. Their team is ready. The crowd's rocking. That stadium is noisy. That stadium is electric, and they are all ready to go. And right now, when looking at this is a 3-point line. Iowa's getting 3 points. And the reality of it is I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. I think that this is definitely going to be one of those heavyweight slugfests, and I think that Penn State is going to, go blow for blow with Iowa back and forth here, but I think they're just going to pull it out in the end. And so I'll go ahead, give up the 3 points. I'm taking Penn State. I think they're going to win by probably somewhere around 14, 17 points in the end of it. Iowa does not have an offense at all. It's not a good offense. I mean, it's an Iowa-style offense, which is kind of a ball control offense to where I don't think it's really going to be a high-scoring game, but with a line like this, it really doesn't matter. I think that Penn State can easily win by more than 3 points. Actually, like I said, I figure they'll probably win by somewhere around 14. So when I'm looking at this situation and I'm looking at that, I'm going to take James Franklin and his team. They've already had kind of that weird game that they had with Pitt, where it was like that 17-13 game, and they had weather issues, and they were all over in sorts of mess. I mean, but really since then, they've really kind of turned things around on, completely annihilating Maryland and then turning around and beating Purdue. So, I'm looking at this, and I could see the Iowa having another just kind of a Michigan hangover. They played Michigan, who has just been all sorts of messed up, and they can't do jack squat against Michigan, and I think that's just going to carry over to this week. I think Penn State definitely has a more talented team. I think they're going to come in. Like I said, I think they're going to trade blows for about a half, maybe even into the third quarter, and then I think by the third quarter, Penn State's just going to pull ahead, win by somewhere around 14, nice, easy win, and go on back home to Happy Valley. So as I look at this and I look at the 3 points, I'm going to go ahead and give up the 3 points. And believe it or not, that is my first time of picking the overdog or picking the ones that's not the underdog this week. All right, let's go ahead. And I've got one more game on the slate, and it's the 8 o'clock game, and it's probably the premier game of the week. We have number 7 Florida going into Death Valley and playing number 5 LSU. That's an 8 o'clock game on ESPN, and LSU is giving up 13.5 points. And Florida fans, the magic stops here. You're getting your first loss of the season. There's definitely no doubt about that, but I just don't think that you guys can keep up with LSU. I think with LSU's offense, the way that they're running this offense, the way that it's clicking on all cylinders, it's something that Florida's defense has not seen all year, and I think it's going to catch them off guard. I think that Joe Burrow's running that offense probably better than anybody at LSU's ran an offense, and they're going to put up some points and big points, and the fact of the matter is Florida can't score. They've, and definitely, I think that their offense right now is probably, with Trask, is probably in better hands than what it was with Felipe Franks. But I just think that they've got way too much firepower. I think that they're going to win by more than 2 touchdowns. I think it's going to be a crazy rocking game in Death Valley, and I think that the crowd's going to get behind it, and Florida's going to get behind early, and they're going to have to try to play catch up, and that's not who they are, and so I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they're going to score a couple times. They definitely got some home run hitters, but I just don't think that that's going to happen in this game. I think LSU's got a really nice stout defense as well, and I think LSU's probably going to make a statement this week to where people are going to start talking about them more, especially with that Alabama game that's going to be looming in the background, and I think this is really going to hype up that Alabama game. And so, yeah, I'm going to definitely go ahead, give up the 13.5 points, and I think that you're going to see LSU run off to a nice, easy win on Saturday night. So pretty much, guys, those are my picks this week. You got 4 underdogs, and I'm picking 2 favorites to win this week. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully I can stay on the plus side of the things. The question now is what do you think? Do you like my picks? Do you not like my picks? Do you have different picks of your own? The beauty of this is that we can have some discussion. We can talk back and forth. I love when you give me feedback. I love, hearing your picks, your insight, because you guys come up with things that I never would have thought of. And actually, you guys have picks that are a heck of a lot better than mine a lot of times. So I'd love to hear it down in the comments. I'd love to have some discussion. All right, guys. Well, you know the drill. If you like the video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe. I need all the help I can get. I really appreciate you watching this video. All right, guys. Well, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy. So let's get on out of here. You have a good night.